Hello. All right, this is my third attempt at trying to put some thoughts down. For whatever reason, this channel, I have a really hard time feeling like I'm, not just babbling on and on and on. So I'm going to try and say what I want to say concisely. First, let me just say pleasantly surprised I am to see this channel taking off. I, I made 6 months ago, must have been, I made this channel because I was desperately trying to heal, and that's what it is. I am not a therapist. I am not a psychologist. I do not, medically understand borderline personality disorder, and I'm not pretending to know. I'm making guesses, and I think I'm making some good guesses, but I'm not a therapist and I'm not a psychologist. So, those of you who are saying that I don't know what I'm talking about, you might be right. I also understand that borderline personality disorder is a varied illness. There isn't like one type, and that there's a whole, scale, and that there's all kinds of different things going on. That people can be borderline and this and that. And yes, I was only with one person that in my life, to my knowledge, who was full on. Actually, if I think about it, there's one or two others, but they weren't quiet borderlines. You know, they, raged at me, and he said, I'm not having anything to do with you after one or two of those. And so I didn't really know what it was like to lose my identity in a relationship with a borderline. Um, but I've only had experience with one person, so I don't know. If you're on this channel and you're borderline and you think that I'm misunderstanding you, you might very well be right. I might be misunderstanding because you don't have the same type of borderline that the woman does that I was with. And another possibility is I might be right and you might not see it about yourself. So both of those possibilities are there. But I'm perfectly happy with me making mistakes and being wrong. And my apologies if there is any hurt that somebody gets their feelings hurt. That's not my intention. I mean, the truth is that if there's if there's one group of people in the world that if I could do something to snap my fingers and fix, it would be borderlines. I think they're probably. I mean, you can't make these kind of comparisons because everybody's pain is their own specific thing. But I mean, that's a hell. You guys are living through a hell that the rest of us just can't even comprehend. And I feel so intensely for you. If I could pick you up and hold you and love you back into health, I would do it. And I know I speak for all the other codependents on here who have been with you. The truth is that they're much stronger than I am, and they've tried for a lot longer than I did. I gave up a lot quicker than a lot of people. But if I've said or done anything that you felt as being hurtful, just know that I'm doing my best. So I'm not here to make to hurt anybody or to harm you. I'm saying that because I'm finding that a lot of borderlines are coming onto this channel, and now it makes sense now. In fact, I'm so surprised at how many views these videos are getting. I mean, it's in such a short amount of time. Um, there are non-borderlines who are benefiting from it, and I'm getting a lot of joy out of that. And they're benefiting from it because I'm not a therapist and because I'm talking from my feelings and because I'm sharing my observations that allowed me to understand the dynamic, my part in it, and to understand it so that I could get out of the delusion of what I was in and heal. And so that's why it's helpful. So it's okay with me that I'm not getting it right. When I say things like, borderlines have no empathy, or, things that I've said that sound really accusatory, it's to help the non borderlines who are in delusion to wake up and go, wow, I am really out of touch here. And for my own health, I need to see what's really happening here. Um, And one of the reasons people have seen that I seem to have recovered so quickly is because I've been in therapy for 25 years, in hardcore, in depth therapy for 25 years. I've been a spiritual practitioner and seeker my whole adult life. And I've been in a 12 step program for my own life in order to stay alive. I've had to work the 12 steps for almost 40 years consistently. Otherwise, I'd be dead. And I've gone through my own version of hell. And, so I had a lot of tools. When I met the borderline and got involved with her, it was a whole level of pain and craziness I'd never experienced. And I thought I understood, I wish somebody had explained to me what borderline was before, because then I would have known I don't have the tools to deal with this person. I thought it was just another form of dysfunction that I was familiar with, and that's what pulled me into getting myself into so much pain, as well as my own unresolved mother issues. And my fiance passed away, and there was a big hole in my heart, and that set me up, and I was just the perfect codependent for her. But the reason why I am in a state of recovery, and I am in a state of recovery, I mean, I don't have any regrets. I am so grateful that I'm out of it. And I see now with 2020 vision, hindsight, wow, that was a really dysfunctional relationship. That was not love. That was not any of those things. It doesn't mean that I didn't have love for her, and it doesn't mean that she didn't have love for me. It just means it wasn't love in the true sense of the word. And so, those of you who've been, you've been out of it for years, and you still haven't got your sense of self back, you're not going to be able to fix yourself. You are damaged. You have gone out surfing and you got bit by a shark. If you looked into the eyes of sharks, there's nobody home. And you got bit by a shark, and you need to go to the hospital and get stitched up, or you're going to bleed to death. So that means going to Codependence Anonymous. That means getting help with a therapist, getting real help. Trying to fix yourself isn't going to do it. Coming on and listening to me is helpful, but it isn't enough either. You need to get real help. I did that. I already had those mechanisms in place, and I had things I could do, like work the fourth step, so I could get rid of my resentments and get rid of my delusions about it. And now I have a much better view of what was going on, and I have no resentment. I don't carry any pain. In fact, it's like wow, that was like one of the most painful things in my life, and I barely remember it. Of course, if I sit and think about it, I can remember it, but I really am coming from a place of recovery, and it's because of that. So if you're still feeling like you're dragging and limping along, go get some help. For those of you who are borderlines who are coming onto my channel, as I said, I'm not a therapist and I'm not a borderline. I can't possibly know what's going on with you. So of course I'm going to make judgments about you that are inaccurate and incorrect, but that's what I had to do to heal. And that's why other people are chiming in and saying it, and that's why you probably feel like you're being misunderstood and you're being attacked and all that. That's just what we have to do in order to separate and survive. So don't take it personally. I've stood up for borderlines on this channel in the past when there have been people who have said, borderlines know exactly what they're doing and they're just doing it to harm you. And I've said, no, they don't know what they're doing. They don't understand. They can't help it. I still believe that. Now, I also believe that everybody's responsible and everybody can choose to at least make the choice to work towards being responsible, including the worst borderline in existence can choose to do that. And I do believe in karma, and I do believe that people will be held accountable. So even though you don't mean to cause the harm that you do, you should, in my, forgive me for making the suggestion, I think it's in your best interest to try and understand. So the best thing you can get out of this channel is to um, is to not see if I and others on here are telling the truth and being accurate, because we might not be. What you want to do is to listen to see how the behavior of borderline personality disorder, how it actually affects others and how harmful it is. If you're able to hear the pain that we've experienced without taking on any blame and getting in and feeling what we feel, that will be helpful. But that's the disconnect I've seen. That borderlines can have guilt and get defensive, or they can have no empathy and get defensive. And sometimes they can have empathy, but it doesn't last. So if you can hear the damage that it has caused us and be able to use that to go into therapy and say, you know, non-borderlines are saying this, and this guy on this channel says this and this and this, and be able to hear it in a way where you can incorporate it so that you don't act in those ways, then my channel will be helpful. But somebody said on here, and I think they said rightly to somebody who was borderline, said, you shouldn't listen to this guy. He's not a therapist, and you know, it might be damaging to you. And I think there's some truth to that, because I'm not a therapist, and this channel isn't for borderlines. It's for non-borderlines to separate and heal. But if you're here, maybe you can get something out of it. To those borderlines who want to leave really nasty, really hurtful things in the ways that only borderlines can do, I will block you. But I'll also block people if they attack borderlines. Now, I'm not monitoring this channel, so it's going to be a while, you know, when I only check this channel every now and then. So the one thing I want to say, because as I said in the past, I've stood up for borderlines, and I've defended them against people who just want to say that borderlines are just mean people who like to hurt others. And that's not the case. They don't mean to do it. They do actually forget. There are all kinds of things that happen, and I feel for them. But one of the justifications I hear from borderlines is, no, it's not that we don't have empathy, because that's what we experience. We experience that you don't have any empathy for us, and you don't take any responsibility for your actions. The response from some borderlines will be, no, it's that we have too much empathy, that we feel too much. But I'm here to say that in my experience, you're confusing empathy with intuition. Intuition is being able to either, you know, actually, or, you know, maybe not, being able to predict what somebody's going to think or feel. And to have this feeling that you are feeling all of the pain in the world and all that. That's called projection. But the idea that you are picking up and feeling everybody's feelings, I'm here to tell you that you're wrong as much as you are right. The woman that I was with thought that she was psychic, and it wasn't so much that she was psychic, it's just that her intuition was so finely tuned that she was able to predict. She had a very good prediction rate of what I was thinking and what I was feeling. And you guys are brilliant at reading facial cues and micro, cues on the face and body language and energy and everything else. And so you take all of that information and you're very good at predicting what you think we think and feel. That's not empathy. We could, quote, call that empathic, but that's not what empathy means. Empathy means that you can climb into somebody else's skin and feel what they're feeling as though it's happening to you without taking on any responsibility or taking on any blame. So, in other words, you can feel if you step on somebody's toe, you can go, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That must have really hurt. I won't do that again." You take the responsibility that you did it, but you don't react out of um, guilt or anger or defensiveness. So I hear a lot of defensiveness in borderlines trying to explain what they go through. And you guys get so wrapped up in your own experience of all the feelings that you have, there's no room for you to even acknowledge that somebody else is in the room having a feeling. Um, so there's a difference between empathy and intuition. I'm not explaining it as well as I would like, and forgive me if I sound like I'm condescending, but I definitely hear that. There's a disconnect between understanding what empathy is and what is intuition. So if you can get anything out of my channel, it's not because we're accurately describing who you are and what your intentions are. Because the truth is, the other thing I hear is I hear borderlines say, we really do love you and we have no intention to harm you, and so therefore it's so hurtful when you say that we're out to harm you and cause you all this pain. The bottom line is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you intend to hurt us or not. What matters is the actual damage that occurs, the actual objective damage that occurs as a result of your behavior. And yes, it's true that sometimes people project onto you, they project onto us as well. But it is true. Borderlines, when you split on us and you blame us and attack us for things we didn't do or think or say or feel, that is real damage. That's not our fault. It's not our fault that you misread, out of your intuition, you misread something and took it personally and attacked us. It's not our fault. So it's okay for us to say that you do cause us damage. We chose to be with you. We know who you are at some point, and we choose to be with somebody that we know is going to do hurtful things to us. That is our fault. But it's not our fault when you flip on us for things we didn't say, think, do, or feel. And the damage that you cause is very real. And so that's something I think that's missing, and I keep hearing that. Some of you may already know that, but if you can come on the channel and hear what we're saying from our perspective and know that we don't have any blame on you, we're not wanting to blame you, we're not wanting to make you feel bad or feel guilty. We just want you to not hurt us, just like you don't want us to hurt you. And the very thing that causes you to harm us is your desire to not be hurt, right? Anyway, so enough of that. All right. I have no idea if this is helpful to anybody, but I'm just checking in. I'm feeling great. This is obviously my other channel, which is all my time, thunderwizard.com. That's my other channel. Doing a lot of fun things if you want to come check it out. Otherwise, I'll be back. If this channel really starts to take off, maybe I'll put some more time in it. People have asked me if I will do counseling for them. And my response is, I don't know that I'm qualified for that. I'm not a therapist. And so maybe I can help, maybe I can't, but I'm not prepared to do that yet. But it would be really great if you guys, hooked up and created, some kind of way to be helpful to each other. And if the channel can be a place for people to come and heal, I'll keep it up. I won't take the videos down. But I'm feeling pretty good. I'm not in a relationship with a borderline, and I barely remember that it happened, and I'm having normal relationships and lots of beautiful, loving encounters with people, and I'm really grateful for what I learned out of it, and I hope that everybody listening can get that same healing for themselves. And of course, I've got more healing to do, and I'm not immune, so I'm gonna keep checking in every now and then so that I too can stay healthy and healing and have love and happiness in my life. So, all right, that's it for now. Thanks. Take care.